I'm present, Madam Chair.
Excellent, thank you. District 1, Supervisor Babbitt?
Present, thank you.
Excellent, thank you. District 3, Supervisor Ryan?
I'm happy to be here.
Excellent. And District 4, Supervisor Parks?
Present.
Okay, great. So the first item on our agenda is an executive session. Is there a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Second? Is there a second?
Second the motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Passes unanimously. We are now going to executive session and we'll be on the Teams meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, hi everybody. We are back in our regular session, and the Board of Supervisors is going straight to roundtable. And Eric, I will turn it over to you, Eric Peterson, to be able to give us an update on legislation and other items.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Hope everyone is well and welcome back. Wanted to give you an update on during our roundtable on a few items. First, I want to start on our federal issues, Madam Chairwoman, and namely the SMART Act. You've heard a lot about that in the last couple of days. NACO has talked about it and has been talked about in conjunction with a couple of the meetings and also through Senator Sinema's office. The SMART Act is a bill that originally came out from Senator Menendez and Cassidy, Menendez of New Jersey, Cassidy of Louisiana. The bill is likely the vehicle that could achieve the bipartisan type of support necessary to move in the United States Senate. The bill has since picked up a companion bill in the House that is co-sponsored by Representative O'Halloran, a representative in Congress. The SMART Act, unlike the HEROES Act, so if we step back, the HEROES Act, of course, is the massive $3 trillion bill with over $180 billion for local governments, for counties included, 180 in 1 year. But this bill, the SMART Act, does about $500 billion in local government funding in a different formula setup, though. So $500 billion for state and local governments, about $80 billion will come to counties, 80 billion. But there is a division of the formula into three different particulars. And I'm going to just quickly let you know that it is a drawdown of population as one of those columns. And the third is then the state's infection rate and allocated out of that based on population. And the last third is based on the county's lost revenue. So if you take that $80 billion, 2/3 of it would come to counties immediately based on the formula of population and infection rate. The last third would come on lost revenue. That would not come until April of 2021. And that would be subject to the governor certifying the amount of lost revenue of each of the local governments to be able to achieve that funding level. I want to be very clear, Senator Sinema supports this bill. Representative O'Halloran, it is gaining some bipartisan traction. As of yet, we have not heard from Senator McSally on her position on the SMART Act. We have talked, and I have talked directly to Bob and Anna about this. They have talked with leadership folks and folks on the Hill that this is the likely horse to get behind in terms of a legislative vehicle, and that we should do so. The formula I just told you about, the three sections of the bill, are not going to be included as the final outcome. Why is that? Ultimately, the bill is written to support the home states of those that first wrote the bill. So you see a lot of New Jersey, New York, California, Louisiana also being really affected, and based on their populations and infection rates would get a lot of be really big winners in this bill. Obviously states like ours would not be comparably. So it's going to have a rework of the formula as it moves through the process, according to our sources on the Hill and the folks that we pay to help advise us. So I would just give you that insight. Again, we expect the number, Bob and Anna really do expect the number to sort of stick of that 500 billion, 80 billion direct to counties. Obviously states and cities would have some of that, but how that division would be broken out would be different. I do have a side-by-side of the HEROES Act and the SMART Act that I'll send you all from NACO so you can see some of the provisions. I also just want to talk quickly about timing before I drill down into some other pieces of federal funding that may get included, is that we are not expecting the Senate to take this up in a major way for another couple of weeks, although pressure is growing on them. But we are looking probably the week of June 8th at the very earliest, more than likely even farther into June, before they begin serious considerations of what to do on this bill. But the bill is introduced. We will have a number for you shortly. Senator Sinema is supportive, Representative O'Halloran on the companion bill in the House. We will have advocacy meetings being scheduled, both with both senators and also with the House members on these issues moving forward. So I'm going to dive into PILT, SRS, and land and water conservation in relation to the SMART Act, but I'll stop and take any questions, Madam Chair, at this point, just on the basics of the SMART Act.
Thank you, Eric. Let me see if there are any questions right now about what you've presented regarding the SMART Act. Any members of the board? Okay, hearing none, then go ahead, Eric.
All right, thank you. So we do have PILT and SRS potentials in land and water conservation in relation to the SMART Act. This was discussed at the NACO Public Land Steering Committee call, which I know the chairwoman was on yesterday. PILT and SRS are not included in the current COVID-19 relief packages, the HEROES Act or the SMART Act. However, the House and Senate appropriators are drafting bill text. And I talked to Jonathan Shuffield this morning. It is likely that the FY21 PILT funding will be included. The committee staff has been very positive about that, and that the SRS reforms that we have wanted to see, so stopping the 5% drawdown, increased flexibility for the use of those funds, is likely to be included as well. So in relation to PILT and SRS, that's good news in terms of those are likely to be included, but again, this will need to be part of our advocacy as they are not yet in the bill, in the text of the bill as introduced in either of those bills. Land and water conservation, this is another different bill, but it could potentially be an avenue to use with PILT and SRS, or it could be something that gets rolled into a SMART Act type of maneuver. There is a Great Outdoors Act. President Trump actually tweeted support of that back in early March when we were in DC. It's a bipartisan bill with 58 co-sponsors. It establishes a deferred maintenance account for federal lands while also giving guaranteed long-term mandatory funding to the Land and Water Conservation Fund. The bill is not moved in either house, but has strong support in both chambers. Again, another place to potentially put PILT and SRS funding legislation, or to take that kind of a package and roll it into SMART for those of us who are concerned with public lands and the deferred maintenance issues and land and water conservation funding. So wanted to give you that update where things are, see if there's any questions. We would include these should the board agree and want to include them in advocacy efforts as we look into the SMART Act. So I'll stop there, Madam Chair. And
Okay,
I know you
great.
were on the call if you have any comments as well. So.
Well, just I will say just a lot of support from the Public Land Steering Committee, you know, to be able to advocate strongly for the PILT, always the full funding of PILT, and as you were saying, the SRS reforms, and then of course Land Water Conservation Fund. I will say that also was a discussion at the NACO board meeting that we had last week. They went over, you know, just some of the areas where NACO would be advocating, and I'm sure I did not attend the WIR meeting, but I'm sure that that also was discussed at WIR. And so I think I can, you know, safely say that there's strong bipartisan support. At least that's what was demonstrated on the Public Land Steering Committee and at the NACO board meeting for these 3 items. Any questions of Eric or of me? Okay, great. So we will continue to watch that and monitor and weigh in our support for that.
Correct. And just for everyone's and Chairwoman, for your knowledge, Bob and Anna are contacting the delegations to set up teleconference calls and Zoom meetings so that we can make direct asks on the SMART Act and those kinds of matters. So
Super. Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
Appreciate that very much. Okay, and then Eric, we have one more thing.
Yeah, we have the Grand Canyon Trust has sent us a request that a letter, the Supervisor Archuleta that you had forwarded to the board yesterday. I reviewed the letter and then reviewed our resolution in relation to the Grand Canyon and the watershed and the withdrawal of the watershed and the Grand Canyon from any kind of an extraction, namely uranium mining. The letter is in line with what the board has passed as policy, both previously all the way back, I believe it's 2008, and then in the resolution last year in relation to the legislation. The letter is about calling for movement on the legislation, the Grand Canyon Centennial Protection Act, introduced by Senator Sinema. So this is a coalition letter. You can see the trust is on it, ECHO, the American Wildlife Federation, the Arizona Trout Unlimited, Arizona Faith Network, likely others to be as well that have endorsed that bill. This is a position on a letter consistent with our policy position, and it is being brought forth for consideration and direction whether or not to affix the county signature, namely the chair on behalf of the Board of Supervisors or on behalf of the county to the letter. And so from public affairs, we find it consistent with the policy that is established by the county and have no objections to having the letter go forward.
Great, thank you, Eric. And just to let you know that, and to let the board members know that we have a choice of either we can sign that letter as part of as one of the signatures that would go on there, or we can write our own letter as well. And so what's the giving direction to Eric, I would like to proceed. It is, as he mentioned, consistent with our position and what's on our legislative agenda. Supervisor Babbitt?
Yeah, so obviously very worked, been part of the large group of people working on this for many years. So I'm supportive. I was wondering if those who requested our participation, kind of care one way or the other, whether it's an individual or board. Did they have any requests on that? I mean, I'm happy to go either way, whatever is kind of viewed as most effective.
Sure. So I think either they said if we could sign on to their letter, that would be super. I think they mentioned that the Havasupai tribe is probably going to do both, sign the letter as well as write their own letter to go, so they could go into more detail about, their position and concerns. And so I think we're fine just with signing the letter. I think it'd be great.
Okay, that sounds fine with me.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay. Now the
Madam Chair,
POD. Oh yes, Supervisor Parks.
thank you. I do have a comment. This is the same thing as what the Grand Canyon Watershed National Monument was several years ago. It's the same people, the same thing. I was against it then. Arizona Farm Bureau, Arizona Cattle Growers, and many other groups are against this. This attempt to take away the freedoms of people that would be in the extraction business, whether it's uranium mining or whatever it is. I can go into this quite a lot further, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to say that I am against signing the letter, and I will write my own letter. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Okay. Supervisor Ryan, are you introducing the next item, or is Eric? The DOD
I believe
letter?
I am, Madam Chair.
Perfect. Okay, thank you.
So I'll just introduce this item. This is a letter. Supervisor Ryan wrote a letter in support due to a tight timeline needing to indicate his personal support for an inclusion within the National Defense Authorization Act to transfer a small portion of Camp Navajo from the federal government to Arizona DEMA. And it really allows that small portion of land to be better utilized in such. I know Mr. Ryan is going to speak to some of the particulars, But this is a position that has been consistent with sort of our best use of Camp Navajo and trying to protect the mission and such. We certainly from Public Affairs would be supportive of this effort and recommend that the board agree that we adopt this as a county position. I know Supervisor Ryan is, I think, on and ready to speak to it, but that is my brief introduction for him to the issue.
Great, thank you. And thank you, Supervisor Ryan. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And so, yes, as Erica mentioned, this is very consistent with the challenges Camp Navajo has been dealing with in trying to, they've been restricted quite a bit by federal requirements, not just that, but their contracts. They had an audit not too long ago or several years ago that push their contracts that they only deal with national defense industries in their industrial mission. The desire here is to use the industrial land and some of their igloos to enable the private sector to also have contractual opportunities with Camp Navajo. So very consistent from way back when the enhanced use lease was taking place all the way up to current day, whether it's to deal with or provide the opportunity for a wood campus, a cluster campus, and or other activities that they might be able to pursue with contracts. Travis Schulte, the liaison on behalf of ADEMA and the National Guard here in the States, reached out to me because they were coming up on hearings. I saw the consistency with all the work that's been done throughout the process with all the partners on it. I put the letter forward, but it would be very good to help strengthen that and get the board to endorse it as well. And we can add that to the package that's gone out. And as they progress through other hearings, have it with the full board support.
And Madam Chair, if I just may, we did, upon Representative O'Halloran's office receiving Mr. Ryan's letter through that effort that he just mentioned, we did get a contact back that asking if this was a position of the board, hence speaking with Mr. Ryan to bring this to be forward today so that we could adequately answer that question.
Okay, thank you. So is there, in terms of direction to staff, I would definitely agree that this would be a board position. Is there any other comment to that effect that would counter that or provide an alternative viewpoint?
Madam Chair, I support taking this as a board position.
Great.
I know Supervisor Ryan has been working and has been part of the network for some time, and I think Supervisor Babbitt as well. So I'm very supportive of it. We've been involved in this for quite a while. So thank you.
Yes. Okay. Well, unless
Madam
I
Chair,
don't hear otherwise, yes, Supervisor Parks.
yes, I would like to have it on record that I'm in support of this as well. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Okay. Well, wonderful. Well, thank you, Supervisor Ryan, for your leadership, and thank you very much, Supervisor Babbitt, for your involvement and leadership, and we appreciate you bringing that to us today, Supervisor Ryan. Anything else for us, Eric?
Just briefly, Madam Chair, we'll give you 2 seconds of a legislative update. I know we're late in the day. It is potentially likely that the Arizona House may adjourn sine die late tonight. We are looking at the possibility, as we heard at the CSA meeting earlier today, they may pull up the annexation bill and get that passed. That was a Pinal County issue endorsed by the CSA Legislative Summit. there is still, they have not scheduled, but they may pull onto the calendar. There's lots of back and forth going on about the bill on the prompt payment issue, Senate Bill 1133, which is really subcontractors wanting payment, not getting that from general contractors. And so there's a movement to have us, who have no legal relationship with a subcontractor on public payment on public projects, become now have to escrow and hold and make payments to subcontractors who are not in a relationship with us. So that issue is, we are watching that. CSA is working on it. I've gotten a couple phone calls as we're going here to see if it's going to get pulled to the calendar before a potential adjournment later tonight. So that seems to be the track that they're on, but we'll keep you updated, and I'll send you texts and emails of any changes and things as they're happening. So I just wanted to give you that short update.
Great, thank you, Eric. Appreciate
You're
it very much. Okay, well, let's go to, any questions of Eric on that item? Okay, hearing none, let's go to our county manager, Jimmy Jane.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have been working with departments on reentry plans. Thank you to the team that's being led by Joanne Keene, Dr. Peoples, Erica Philhott, and Sue Brown. I encourage you to look for a draft over the weekend that we'd love for you all to digest. We'll be planning to discuss that on Tuesday and looking for your input on Tuesday for on that kind of reentry plan. That, again, a lot of work has been put into working with departments. It's been a topic of conversation on our regular EOLT.
Jimmy,
Madam Chair.
you're breaking up quite a bit. I don't know if it's, maybe you just need to get closer to the microphone, but it's breaking up quite a bit, okay? Is that
Sorry.
what you're going to point out, Supervisor Fowler?
Yes, Madam Chair. Thank you so much.
Okay, great, thank you. And I'm gonna hang on one second, I need to put you on mute so you don't hear the phone ringing in the background. Hold on.
Can you hear me better here?
Yes,
I apologize for that. So look for a draft of the reentry plan in your email over the weekend from staff and discuss on Tuesday any sort of feedback on that going into this meeting. We'll discuss it with the team, larger team.
I'm sorry, Jimmy. There's something really strange going on. Apologize. It's just it started out great and then it just started going in and out.
Madam Chair, this is Marie. Perhaps I can share about the reentry plan while Jimmy is getting his technology settled.
Well, at first yours, Marie, wasn't any better, but try again. Do like a little test.
Well, he might be ready now, so maybe we
Okay,
don't.
all right. I don't know we just seem to, there's just something that is, the system just is a little screwy right now. So hold on 1 minute. Let's see if the
Certainly.
headphones will help, okay? All right, Jimmy, we're gonna do a test now.
Okay, can you hear me?
Oh, that's beautiful. Yes, we'll just hope it stays that way. Excellent. Thank you.
So I'll just briefly recap that a team led by Joanna, Marie, Erica, and Sue have been working with departments for some weeks now, and look for a draft of that over the weekend from staff for your review. It will be a topic of conversation on Tuesday. Will we be looking for your feedback? Madam Chair, Dr. Peoples, did you have something you'd like to add to that?
Thank you so much, County Manager Jane. That was a really good recap. There's a great team of folks working on the reentry plan. Along with there being a plan and overall guidance, the overall goal is to reassure employees that we're doing this as meaningful and thoughtfully as possible. There's also some suggestions that we would like your feedback on. Just as one example of the suggestions is that we would like to have a reentry committee. And that committee would not necessarily provide the health or technical guidance, because we certainly have experts to do that with the HHS group and other individuals. But we want to hear the general application and how staff feel about it and how it's impacting work, and to hear suggestions from them. So that's just one example of feedback that we're looking for. And if the board is in support of that or has some recommendations on how we could do that better. That's all I have, Jimmy. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Peoples. Madam Chair, are you okay if I continue?
Please go ahead.
So again, the BOS meeting, we'll be looking for your feedback again is Tuesday, starting at 10. The agenda and packet has been distributed by the clerk to the board. So thank you, Lindsay and Val. Couple of issues of note in the morning. Lucinda will be presenting a recognition of Anthony Cox, who serves as the interim Arizona DEMA director. He will be leaving the state. Will have a presentation from NAPTA on the bus rapid transit project. And again, we will have our normal COVID updates, where we will also talk about this issue regarding reentry. And we will also have a presentation and discussion from Eric Peterson, Chris Pastris, Eve Walters on the Arizona Department of Health Services food handler regulations, and a partnership that they have embarked on with NAU. Dr. Guzman will be on along with Mark Milanaro from NAU to talk about that in our partnership with the business community and food handlers license. In the afternoon, we do have 3 executive sessions, a continuation of the property discussion that we had earlier this afternoon, an executive session with Parks and Recreation for board direction regarding county facilities and events and moving forward. And then also a brief conversation regarding the solar lawsuit that you all are familiar with. I will be here on Saturday. I want to say thank you to Lucinda for acting on Sunday, and Joanne on Monday this coming weekend. So I hope you all have an awesome and safe holiday weekend. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Jimmy. Let me see if there's any questions. Any questions from the board for County Manager Jane or for Deputy County Manager Peoples? Okay, super. Well, thank you so much for your work on that. And yes, I hope that everybody gets a little downtime this holiday weekend as you go through a rotation. And you know what, if I can, Deputy County Manager Peoples, can you just reiterate the testing blitz? Because I did actually receive a communication from Vice Mayor Shimoni, and he was asking about, he had heard that the testing blitzes had been extended by the state. And so, and he was, for 2 more weekends. And so he was just he was inquiring, again, like if we could get the information out for people. I know we've been doing a really good job of getting it out, but some people with the holiday approaching may not have seen some of our advisories. So can you just briefly, for everybody's benefit, let us know when the next testing blitz is?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Thank you, Madam Chair. For a second, I thought there was additional information I hadn't received yet. So just to recap, the ADHS has not sent any information about blitzes beyond May. I do anticipate that they're coming, but we have not received that yet. So as soon as we receive notification on that, I'll let this group know, of course. But certainly the next testing blitz is May 30th. It will be at the Health and Human Services building at King Street. It will be at this point in time, the standard 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. We've already worked on the messaging, and as we've put out some of our Memorial Day information and other messaging, we've also reminded folks that the testing blitz is available to everybody. The JIC team has done a great job in creating some additional flyers for that testing blitz on May 30th. We've got a separate flyer that's targeting essential workers. While the blitz is open to everybody, with Memorial Day being so busy, we certainly wanted to try to target our essential workers, food service workers, grocery store workers, those individuals and to let them know that the testing blitz was also open to them. And in addition to that, Chair Archuleta, we're also working on still targeting specific groups, working with specific industries and offering specific days to them. As you guys know, our teams have went to many of the shelters, and we've also went to some other area entities as well and tested their staff or collected specimens. So we continue to do that, and I'll share more of that on Tuesday with the COVID updates.
Great, thank you. Appreciate it very much.
Thanks.
Okay, well, if there are no further questions, then we can just go around to round table. So District 1, Supervisor Babbitt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You know, I think in the interest of time, I think I am going to pass and yield this evening, and we'll see you all on Tuesday.
Super, thank you very much. Anything from District 3, and you can pass, or you can, if you have anything highly important, then go for it.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, just quick updates because we keep passing each week on it. Oh my gosh. Just a reminder, vouchers program's coming up pretty soon. So for each of you, you know, it's going to impact a lot of your communities there. I just got newsletters out to my southern communities because we try and unite that together with forest fire reduction and getting people to clean up their property. I understand the voucher program went quite well in the West a couple weeks ago. And in terms of forest cleanup, Moonset Pit's all filled up at this point. So they have an alternative pit for people to go to. Of course, currently the Forest Service has no intentions of burning the pits while there are challenges associated with COVID-19. So we'll wait and see what happens as the year proceeds, if they'll change that direction or not on it. But just a heads up on that. I've had, I don't remember if I've brought you up to speed on this one, but we had a concern raised with the Munns Park utility barn that we were hoping to build with Public Works that we need down in the community for to really assist with snow removal. Work together with Lucinda and reached out to the community. In our discussions were, let's put it on pause. Let's work with the community and see if they can help us come up with a solution together. Shortly thereafter, their petition reached 3,000 signatures. Forest Service was saying that they would withdraw that as a possibility for a site, at least for that particular application, and we would need to reapply. So I'm putting together a citizen committee to work together with Public Works so that you're aware of that. We're going hot and heavy. Watching the Mountain Dell drainage project. My gosh, when Tiffany got in here, they went to work. They're really efficient and they're moving on. Similar idea in a different kind of way, Belmont Interchange is proceeding. I try and go out there every few days and just see what's going on. They're doing a lot of blasting because they have Malpai to get through, but they're laying the utilities and that's progressing quite well. I did do an interview with RTAC members related to the state of transportation, why we need to invest in it. They're putting together a public information piece to use in the future, and they're interviewing multiple people throughout the state in these different organizations. Let's see. I think I updated everybody on ending the meetings for Parks and Red Lake. We're not going to go out to those because of the COVID-19. And we mentioned the NAMAC letter. And by the way, the second homeowners have returned if you guys haven't heard from them or not. But there's been an uptick on phone calls, as we usually see when that happens. And so it's getting crowded up here. I'm probably forgetting other things, but that's a quickie on what's going on in District 3.
A lot going on, a lot of work. Thank you, Supervisor Ryan. Okay, District 4, Supervisor Parks, anything you'd like to share?
No, I'm going to pass. Everybody have a good weekend. Hope everybody gets out in the woods.
Great, thank you so much. Vice Chair Fowler?
I will just announce that we were able to work out a where working with USDA, with a team of us working with USDA, and they will be delivering produce, fresh fruits and vegetables for the next 6 months to the Tuba City Command Center. And it's the USDA Farm to Family program, and that started yesterday or started on Wednesday. So anyway, just want to report on that, and I think that's a really good, just having fresh vegetables coming in would be really good. It's bi-weekly right now. It may turn into a weekly delivery. So that's what we have. And we sent out the word to all the communities that are served, and the Hopi, Moncopie Lower and Upper, and the San Juan Southern Paiute. So other than that, have a great weekend.
Well,
Hey,
excellent, thank
Liz.
you. Yes,
Yeah, just one real quick one. Forgot to throw in my update. Today, I attended a virtual meeting with the NAMAC that Julie Pastrick coordinates. Have to compliment staff. Jay put together a report on behalf of Parks and Rec and what he's doing and what Jay Smith is doing. Yeah, Jay Community Development put it together for Jay Forrester. So anyway, it was an excellent report and a great presentation. And thank Joanne and everybody else that helped out with that as well. Thank you.
And Supervisor Ryan left everybody speechless.
wow,
Mhm.
that's great. You're on top of your game. That's wonderful. That's great. Well, thanks for your leadership, Matt. It's so really glad that you're so engaged with that group. It's really important to the county and very, very important to your district. So thank you for exhibiting leadership. Really appreciate that. You've been very committed to that, and certainly shows. So for me, I think, so yesterday you may have heard Dr. Peoples and I on CAF radio and getting ready for the Memorial Day weekend. And so I'm going to end on this note that one of the things that we said during our interview that, Memorial Day weekend, of course, is wonderful time to remember those who have served our country and died for our country. And it's a wonderful time to get together with loved ones and family and friends. And we know that people will be wanting to do that this weekend. And there is a way to do that and to do it safely. And that is by continuing to follow the CDC guidelines and wearing masks and practicing social distancing. And so that's some of what we described and encouraged residents and visitors alike to do yesterday. And then also just again, talking about the dangers of fire. And we know that everybody likes to usually have a barbecue on Memorial Day weekend. And so, of course, gas grills are fine, but always have a fire extinguisher available when you're doing that. And so we wish everybody a safe and happy Memorial Day, and join us for our meeting on Tuesday next week. Thanks, everyone.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'm sorry, did you have one other issue that you wanted to brief the board on briefly?
Oh, goodness gracious, darn it. Thank you so much. I did. Thank you for reminding me. Okay, this is gonna, so we need to talk about this a little bit, and that is the Downtown Business Association, the City of Flagstaff, and a number of other entities, including Flagstaff Local First and Arizona Local First. This is part of my chairperson's update. I got a call from them, and basically what they're looking at is putting together a micro grant program to be able to grant a maximum of $2,500, so $2,500 to businesses with fewer than 15 employees. So these are businesses, for example, that are, you know, the kind of the lifeblood of Flagstaff. It's these are small businesses, mom and pop businesses, you know, too small probably to really qualify for the EIDL loans, maybe for a little bit of the PPP, but you know, also it's just difficult for businesses to be able to put those types of applications together. So they are looking at asking the county if we would be willing to allocate $10,000. It would match the City of Flagstaff's allocation, would match some other private donors as well as some other nonprofits that are putting money into this fund to then be able to help small businesses who are really struggling right now, or who may be ready to reopen, but for example, don't even have the money to buy, you know, stock or supplies or whatever they need to reopen, or to hire back folks, you know, kind of that they don't have that capital to get started again. So I just need for you all to, if you want to let me know what you think right now, or if you would let our county manager, Jane, know. I know that they ideally wanted to have some indication from us if we would be apt to want to allocate $10,000. They wanted to know if at all possible by the end of this week. So they know it's a quick turnaround. I got the call, yes, I think it was yesterday, maybe Tuesday evening at the latest, but just very recently I got the phone call about this. You know, I think it's a great idea. I see a lot of mom and pop businesses really struggling. And so anyways, if you'd like to comment now, or you're welcome to comment to County Manager Jane.
So Madam Chair,
Yes.
this is Lena.
Yes.
I've been working with Chris and our Economic Development Manager, and Cindy, our
Wilson.
Wilson, our Workforce Development Director. And we've been working with self-employed and also the micro businesses and small businesses. I categorize those three. They're very different to me. And you're absolutely right. Many of we don't have the large business out here. The majority of our businesses in our county, because of tourism based community, have to be creative and create their own jobs. And that's where these businesses come in. They are very much in need of some kind of assistance. And so we've been working with First Arizona, and we've had meetings with bringing attention to Congressman O'Halloran so that he can really understand. So we've had a number of sessions with them, and we're still working through what to do and how to approach this. There are great needs there. So this would be really great addition to the few resources that we have here. We don't have the CDFI programs here, or somebody that is a CDFI financial institution. And so I think that this would be really great. And I know I've thought about SETI, which Supervisor Babbitt is involved in. And so I think that just putting dollars there for these micro businesses would be really great. And I know that First Arizona is very aware of it because she's been going through this process with us. So they self-employed, some of them have license, a lot of them don't have the banking behind them. So I think this would be very good. Thank you for working on it.
Thank you. Supervisor Babbitt?
Yeah, thanks very much. And Vice Chair Fowler, thanks for your work with this sector. You are right on the money. It is a really important sector, and it is not just small businesses. So I think it's really important you point that out. So Chris Pastors and I are actually going to get on a call tomorrow. I'm very supportive of this, so long as it is open to all county businesses. And so I know it's DBA, and I just want to make sure that's explicit. I'm very much open to that. Chris and I and some of the Dollars for Dreams folks, I sit on the loan committee for there. We have had the initial conversation with NARBA to allow some flexibility on the Dollars for Dreams program, not in terms of the outcome, but in terms of allowing businesses to access similar types, a little bit more in the 5,000 and up range, 5 to 7,000 range, which will help fill this gap. So Chris Pastors, Eric may or may not be on that phone call tomorrow, but some of the microloan program folks that have come up that through Dollars for Dreams is going to be having a kind of parameters conversation tomorrow that Chris will then be the one getting back to the board to talk about the outcome of that. But there will be a complementary program, the next level up to the probably $5,000 or so. We'll figure that out tomorrow. But I will just want to bring that to your attention. I don't think it's an either or discussion. I think it's an and discussion. So I'm very happy to support this modest request for an important vehicle. And I'll bring the board up to speed, and Chris will, on the outcomes of the conversation tomorrow.
That's great. It's wonderful to have the various levels, right? I mean, because for a micro business, $2,500 is going to help really be super helpful. And then for the other larger business, well, I say larger, but still small business, and on the micro, but maybe the next level of a micro business, 5,000 to 7,000 is going to be, very meaningful. And so that's wonderful. I'm glad that we're reaching all, the diversity of businesses that we have within our county. That's wonderful.
Madam
Supervisor,
Chair.
yes, Supervisor Ryan.
Yeah, actually, and I agree with this. I'm willing to throw in a little bit of community initiative to help out. It's an area, as already expressed by everybody, that there is a need. We're not going to be able to fulfill all the need, but a little bit can help a little bit as well. And this is an area that needs it. So I support this.
Great. County Manager Jane.
So Madam Chair, and Eric is still on. If we could just take 30 more seconds. We did learn some additional information this afternoon, both from Heidi Hansen at the city and Terry Medeska at FDBA regarding those that are eligible. Eric, do you want to speak to that for just a minute regarding the size and the other criteria?
Certainly, yes. So Terry did reply and get us some information along with Heidi. We're looking at actually businesses of 10 or less that did not get any of the PPP or EIDL monies. So there is that cohort, and exactly what everyone's talking about. They are looking to run the program through Local First with sort of a community group of grant makers, if I can use that, a granting committee, to ensure that these aren't businesses that are double dipping into many different pots. So to make sure that this is true need, in this space, some of those compliance measures really on this program. They are doing outreach to, they will have a link for donations. So they're trying to privately capitalize this as well. And then also doing outreach to large companies, employers, similar to the request to us across the greater Flagstaff area and across really the entirety of the county. We will make sure to double check, I believe, Mr. Babbitt, on your question about countywide efforts. And I also will be on that call tomorrow to discuss the little bit larger program and the parameters, and make sure we have a report back to the board on that as well. Anything for me on this one, County Manager or members?
Oh, yeah. So I just had a question for Supervisor Babbitt too. Supervisor Babbitt, the program that you're talking about that you're going to be on the call tomorrow, is that a grant or a loan program, or has it been decided?
So the grant, the Dollars for Dream is a loan program. It has recapitalized itself. We've had one default in 5 years. So the vision of that was to make it a self-sustaining. It's the new business loan model is 3%. Tomorrow we are going to talk about flexibility for this type of loan that may bring that down to 0%, but it still is a repaid deal. We feel, that was set up so people have skin in the game, and so that they have a way to sustain the money that myself, Vice Chair Fowler brought, and I think a couple of you, and if I can't remember, I apologize for not remembering that, but that we help bridge and bring to start that funding source.
Okay, great. Yeah, really wonderful conversation to try to, bring that rate down. That'd be super.
Yep. And Eric, Madam Chair, quick clarifying question for Eric. So is there some discussion of, is it embedded that this will be open to all county residents?
Yep. So it's a great question, Mr. Supervisor Babbitt. I have not seen an explicit in the emails and the conversation I have that it's closed to just the Flagstaff area, but I also haven't seen it explicitly stated that it is open to the county area. So it's just simply not said in the conversation that we've gotten back in writing. So I will clarify that to make exactly sure.
And I feel strongly it needs to be open, not across jurisdictional boundaries. So that's just my one take on it.
Yeah, and I think that we can, I also agree, and I think that we could certainly, with the allocation, put in that provision. Supervisor Fowler?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was just going to agree with that, because we have businesses throughout the whole county that are in great needs. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Eric, anything else?
Madam Chair, no, I will get you reports on that. Just one tiny little point, FDBA is, and we are working with management on this. They are looking at trying to do Movies on the Square as a drive-in movie this year downtown. So they're inquiring about using our Chase parking lot. We'll work through that with management, about that possibility. But that is, they want to try to keep that premise of bring people together and still have an event, but do it the right way and in accordance with the guidance that we've offered. So
I just love the way, people and businesses are reinventing themselves. It's pretty cool. What do they say? Necessity is the mother of invention. And so true.
Yeah, along that line, there's somebody on this list of phone calls that brought up the idea that we should think about that for Fort Tuthill. Food for thought.
Excellent idea. All right. Anybody else? Okay. Well, then our meeting is adjourned. And so thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend. And let's see, anything from you, County Manager Jane?
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board. Have an awesome and safe weekend.
All right. Thank you. You have a good one too. And happy anniversary.
Thank you.
To our County Manager Jane and his spouse Lisa. Have a good one. All right. Thanks. Bye.